What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 3, Episode 3, and it's called Chapter 23. Heavy is the crown, y'all.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our MVPs, our LVPs. So be sure to stick around to the end of the podcast for that.
And just as a quick announcement, we have our contest going on right now for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and pop socket. To enter, all you need to do is rate and comment on our iTunes page and you will be entered in this draw. We are extending this contest to the end of Riverdale Season 4, so just enter and you can win. As always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. As I mentioned, let's get into this episode.
Episode 3.
Episode 3, y'all. Here we go.
Carnival.
Here we go.
Carnival
What did you think?
Time. I loved it. I think
Loved it.
Beginning to end, it was so freaking creepy. Had that like small town vibe with the county fair and like the carnival, and it was just such a good episode.
Yeah, I thought it was great too. They are literally killing it this season.
They're killing it.
Like,
They're killing it.
I'm so pleasantly surprised with it. Yeah, it's been great. So let's just cut it down. I'm gonna go scene by scene because it's all pretty intertwined this episode. Starts off at Harvey's house, and Roz and Harvey are watching a movie. They're hanging out, but the daddy's over there, like he's like lurking in the corner, and then he's about to go to sleep. And then Harvey and his dad had like a random sex talk, and I thought that was kind of cute because you do have to remember that this show like slows down sometimes.
Yeah, he was like, "Are you wearing a condom, son? You better wear protection." He was like, "Ew, Dad, she's right there.
Why would you say that to me?" Yeah. And so they do mention, I think Roz mentions going to a carnival in the beginning of this episode. So he's like, yeah, sounds good. So like that's gonna happen. But before they go to the carnival, they're gonna cun a little bit, like on the couch. But they actually don't cun. No one's cunned yet.
So that's the
Have
thing.
You noticed? Literally no one's cunned.
Yeah, I don't think that they've gotten there yet. But it seemed like this episode was building up to that. So I'm kind of excited to see how they're going to get to that next level with their characters. Because it is going to take them from like young teen to like adult teen. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Roz has already done it though. Like she's already done it. But
With
like
who?
they haven't done it together. She mentions it to Sabrina. Remember like during the Looper Carolee episode? She's like, I did it already, but yeah, what do you want to know, girl? Like,
true.
Whole conversation. But anyway, speaking of Sabrina, it cuts to Nick and Sabrina in bed, and like I don't know how you can't have sex with that guy. He's like literally the most beautiful man of all time. First of all, yes, they're cute and they're hanging out in bed. She's like petting his face, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm so happy to be home," or whatever. And they're about to go to sleep. It's really cute. But then he wakes up screaming like bloody murder.
Which is what we expected because like he just came back from hell.
But I will have to say, I don't know if with this like possession, he got 2 penises or just one, but all I noticed it was his crotch area was like thrusting toward the camera.
He was, and he was wearing like the tidy grays.
Yeah.
So now your girl just have to pause on that frame. You know, everyone did it. Everyone was rewinding. Like the Netflix analytics is like everyone was rewinding like 5 minutes in. Why is like that? And they're like, that's the scene where he's crotch thrusting into the frame.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. I want to go back to that episode now. Just freeze frame it.
But it kind of sucked because I was like ready. Here's the thing, though. This is my thing. I think he's so sexy. I think he's like he's beautiful. But I still see her as like this little kid. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, she's not
I don't
like
know, guys.
sexy enough.
I don't know. And I don't want to. Maybe it's because like I've seen her on Mad Men and she's always been like the little girl. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I don't see like when they start kissing and I'm like, oh no. Like, I don't know. I don't see her as that like kind of.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally hear you.
Is it just me?
No,
I just can't see her like that. She's like my little. I feel like she's like my little sister. I don't know. It's weird.
Honestly, that's a really good point. I will say that I don't see Sabrina as this like like she's not a sexual being. Like she's not like a Veronica like Lodge. You know what I mean?
And not even like a Betty,
that, like,
not even like a Cheryl. Like she's just not. She's very like goofy and she's very perky and she's very like bubbly. I don't see her coming into her own like, oh, I'm sexy and like I want to get this. You know, like
she's not like a vixen. She's
I'm
not like
buying it yet, and I hate that because I think like he's so hot, and I just want to see him like fuck something, but like it's just
It's true. Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, like, Nick feels it too. He's like, I don't know if I can have sex with her. Like, I'm going to go to the brothel.
No, that was for something else, not because of her.
That was something else. I'm just joking.
It was just funny. Anyway. That whole scene killed me because, like, he wakes up and he's like sweating and like whatever. It was full out Buffy moment, like Angel, like frame for frame. Like that was the Angel moment where like he wakes up screaming in the air.
He wakes up,
and he's like drenched like in his own sweat. But this is also where the camera pans down to,
and you see that his foot is still deformed.
Hoof. So at first I was like, oh shit, like are they panning down to like his penis? Like, oh, like he can't like like he can't get it up. And then it kept going down and I'm like, wait, where are they going? And then they show his foot and it's like a weird like hoof, like the devil's hoof on his foot. And I'm like, ew.
You know what they say about deformed feet, MB?
What do they say? I don't care what they say. I don't care what they say. I already made up my mind.
Anyway, let's cut. First I didn't know like if he realized in that moment like, oh my god, I'm turning back into Satan. Yeah. But it's just showing that it's like going down. It's not like going up. Anyway, the next morning, Nick is showering and like Sabrina's just like, okay, I'll see you downstairs, honey. And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And you see like a little butt shot, like they're literally milking him for like the hotness that
like
he
every
is.
single part of his body. They're like
every angle,
giant.
Exploitation, living. So he's washing his ass and then he's like scrubbing the corns off of his feet. He's just like, wash away. It's so gross.
He's trying to get rid of the thing, the hoof, right?
Yeah, but he's just like going crazy on it.
Yeah.
And then it's down at breakfast and they're just talking about his foot and how it's going to go back eventually, but it's just going to take some time. Zelda like makes her like little moments. She has some like notes in there. She's like, I imagine it was quite a reunion because you haven't seen each other in so long.
So and they haven't had sex yet, right?
They haven't had sex yet. So she's like, we didn't even do that, mom. Like, I was going to say mom. She's like, we didn't even do that, Zelda. Like, we just, like, talked and hung out and just, like, caught up. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But then that's when Zelda goes in on her. She's like, how dare you do this? Like, I still can't believe you that you tried to pull that shit off. Like, what's wrong with you? And Zelda does start trying to pull rank. She starts to like recruit people for her school because now that she's the director, she's like, I need to like fill this school with like teachers. So she tells Ambrose like, yo, like, do you want to be a teacher? And Ambrose right away was like, no, I'm good. Like, I explored the world and I just don't feel like a classroom's like good for me anymore. Like, I want to like discover more things. And she's like, okay, then like you can be the librarian. And she's like, the fuck? Like, he's like, how did I get myself into this? So then a big thing that happens is Zelda sneezes and Hilda's like, are you sick? And she's like, I've never gotten sick in my entire life. Like, fuck you. So obviously, like, something's happening. Yeah. Nick comes down and he's just like glazed over, like his eyes are glazed over. And he's like, hey, I'm going to walk Sabrina to school now or whatever. And she's like, okay, bye. So then they both leave. On the way to school, they're leaving. And first of all, Nick is in this leather jacket and like, I'm living for his look. Like,
are you?
Who is this man? Yeah. Are you not?
Nah, not really. It's like Justin Bobby like style. Like, wasn't my thing. Fair
enough. But I don't know. I was kind of feeling it. I was not feeling his thick cuffed jeans, if you noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed those kinds of things. His thick cuffed jeans were pissing me off.
Yeah. They made him look like, what's his face from
like
Greece?
A BC hipster, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, which I think he probably is in real life. He's probably like a BC hipster, realistically. So then Miss Wardwell kind of like appears in the like middle of nowhere on the way to school, and she tells Sabrina that she's needed at court now. And you find out that she didn't tell Nick after their full like all night long conversation. She didn't even mention for once that she's the queen of hell. Okay. So she's like, okay, like I'm the queen of hell now.
And he was impressed. He was like, sick, like good job,
like,
girl.
Okay, cool. Yeah. He's like, get it, girl. But there's like this interesting dynamic that I'm really interested in, the fact that like he's trying to let her go, but also like he feels the guilt of like leaving. Like there's a lot there that they can work with, and I think
he still has to deal with his demons, like his literally
shit. Literally,
so, yeah.
So anyway, in hell, they're having a meeting with everybody, and she's basically like, yeah, I want to reform hell. I want to see everybody's contracts that they have with humans. I want to make sure that we're not like damning people. I want to like have a full census of the people that are in hell currently. She just wants to do all this stuff. So Caliban comes in with a scroll of signatures, and he's like, I'm going to challenge you to a like challenge, and whoever wins gets to be the king/queen. And he calls it the quest for the unholy regalia. And apparently these are the 3 most powerful objects in all history. But I wrote down, like, doesn't he already have an unfair advantage because like he's been like the king, like he's been in hell this whole time and she's not? But apparently these have been missing from everybody. No one knows where.
Yeah.
And so they want to, the first challenge is to get the hell's crown. Like it's Herod's crown or something like that. It's this like really powerful crown. Whoever gets it wins the first round. This is why I hate trailers, because I already saw him put it on in the trailer and I was like, fuck. So I already knew that he already got it. So I was kind of like annoyed that I already knew, but whatever. So yes, as I mentioned, Wardwell tells Sabrina, like, no one knows where these items are. So we just got to like look for them. Then it cuts to school, and by school, I mean the School of Dark Arts, and some kid like tried to fly and he died from flying. Like he just like fell to the floor. But yeah, like, so everybody's getting sick. People are sneezing. People are looking feverish. And
like things aren't going great for the school.
Yeah. Things aren't going well. The one thing that I want to ask you that kind of came up in this moment just randomly, because I was like, what happened with this storyline? Do you think we're ever going to know was there any repercussions for Hilda killing that guy from last season? You know, like one of the elders, she like puts him in like a spider web at the very end of the season. I don't
know. Maybe we'll get to it like later on, but they haven't even like mentioned it at all.
Yeah, and like elders already visited them. Like I thought that was going to be the story, but it really looks like now we're episode 3. Like they're not going to cover that anymore. Like I don't know. Anyway, that's a complete side note. But then it cuts to Wardwell, and she sees the carnival poster, like the real Wardwell. Yeah, and she's like, oh, I used to go to these things with Adam.
So here's the thing: you asked me last episode, are we going to see the 2 Wardwells, the 2 versions of Wardwell? And you can already tell that we are going to see that, because we've seen her in the beginning of this episode as like Wardwell.
Right.
Right? Like as like Sabrina's whatever. And then now the teacher.
Right.
So she is playing both.
She's playing both, but like,
I don't get how. Like I don't understand how that's working.
Is she like body snatching her, or is she just like 2 separate people? Like,
or she's just like wearing her face basically, but like how does that work? Like how do you have like a second person?
Yeah, I don't know. They made it seem like it was about possession until this season. They're
exactly.
Like, no,
they didn't think it through all the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. I'll still work with it. I love the actress, so like she can play both. I don't really care. So then it cuts to Theo talking to Harvey about Robin, because like they meet in the last episode, and he says like, I don't know, like maybe I might want to like hang out with him, maybe I want to ask him to the carnival. And Harvey's like, it's such a cute little moment where they're just so like cute. Having this like back and forth, and he's encouraging Theo to ask Robin out. And then Roz walks in like right in that moment, because like Harvey's also being like, I don't know what to do with Roz. We haven't fucked yet. And like, I'm not really sure like how to deal with this. And then Roz is like, what you guys talking about? Fucking? And he's like, and then whatever. They cut to the next scene. It cuts to Sabrina and Ambrose talking. And it turns out that I didn't even like put it all together until she says it to Ambrose. But the ants still don't know about the fact that she's Queen of Hell. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Like, so she told them everything but the fact that she's the fucking Queen of Hell.
Oh my God, yeah.
So because he says, he's like, oh, and the ants don't know about this yet. And I was like, oh my God, Sabrina, can you just like tell them everything right now? Like, it's not that big of a deal if you like wrap it all together. These poor ants are gonna like fucking go gray soon. Anyway, as they're talking, she's like, can you help me find this crown? And he's like, yeah, of course. Like, I don't want to be in this goddamn library. And then Nick comes in like kind of badass, and he's like, hey, you want to go for lunch? And she's like, yeah, let's go. So then it cuts to Zelda teaching, and she's like watching all these kids, and they're so intently reading in this reading circle. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy that you guys are reading your like books. And one of the girls is like, we're not reading that book. We're reading this romance novel. And it's a romance novel.
It's basically like 50 Shades, but like which version?
Which version? But also it's like literally the story of Hilda and Zelda.
Yeah.
But like the Hilda character is like running away from her evil sister.
Yeah.
So it's so funny as she's like reading the description, she's starting to realize that it's about her.
Yeah.
And then she looks at the cover, and it's literally Hilda in like Nick's arms. Like, it's like a character that looks exactly like Nick Scratch. It's so funny.
So Hilda wrote this book.
Hilda writes this book. She goes and confronts her while she's reading the book to the rest of the kids. And she's like, I can't believe that you wrote this. How dare you? What the fuck's wrong with you? And then like that's kind of how that scene ends. Then it cuts to Theo asking Robin out to go to the carnival, and he says yes. And I was like, okay, cool. Cutting to again to Roz and Harvey at school, and Harvey kind of walks toward Roz, and she's like talking with a bunch of people in a corner, and they're like laughing.
They're laughing about the dumbest shit. Like whenever he he goes up to them and he's like, "What's so funny?" And they're like, "Ha ha ha!" Like, "Oh my God, this happened." And I was like, "Are you guys seriously laughing about that? Like, what the fuck? Like, you're like 7 years old."
Like, everybody tell him like what you're scared of, and he's like, I'm scared of clowns. I'm like, that's a legitimate fear. Like, why is that funny?
That's not that funny. And even Harvey was like, all right, you guys aren't funny. But he basically sees like Roz flirting with like the hot jock Billy.
Or he thinks that's flirting. He's starting to feel like very
but she kind of was.
threatened.
She kind of was like talking to him a little bit.
She's like, and oh, Billy.
Now that she's like a cheerleader, she's like feeling herself. So like, you know, maybe she's gonna want that D and not like, you know, Harvey's D.
Not the minor D.
Yeah.
She wants a football D.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to the lunchroom with Sabrina and Nick, and I love this moment actually.
Yeah.
I forgot about it, but Agatha and Dorcas go and sit down, and they're like, hey Nick, and then they're talking to him, and first it seems like very innocent, but then they like go in on him. They're like, oh, did you like being possessed by Sabrina's father?
Yeah.
What did it feel like being inside of Sabrina's father before Sabrina? Like, there were just so many things.
Up. Yeah, it was fucked
they
up.
They were so mean about it. Like, how does it feel to be with Sabrina and her dad at the same time? Like, it was all these things. And he just like loses it. He gets really pissed, and then he's like, fuck you, and then he just leaves.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Ambrose, and he finds like a lead for the crown. Like, this is when Sabrina's like, I gotta go find Nick, and he's like, no, you need to hear this.
Yeah.
He's like, I found something. So in his research, he finds out that the crown is in Riverdale. How much did you love this fucking crossover? Shout out.
Loved the shout out. We'll talk about the crossover later because I have some different thoughts about that. But It was really cool how he explained like the whole origin story of the crown, and like how like it got basically passed down through the Blossom family. Like the Blossom grandfather had it. And he's like, so let's go. Like, let's go to Riverdale right now, and like let's go like look for the crown. So she has to, you know, go with him, and they go to Riverdale. So in my head, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to like run into Cheryl. They're going to like go to Pops maybe for like lunch or milkshakes. And none of that happens, actually.
None
of
Zero,
that happens.
zero. Even Pops didn't make it. Pops didn't even make it to the fucking show.
I really thought that like, even if we didn't get the Cheryl thing, like, they would go to Pops at least and be like, let's go grab a milkshake, and like, you see the set, or you see them in that set, and like, that would have been so freaking cool to see, but they don't even do that.
So here's my only thing that I can say that could be a possibility. Well, two things. One, they're gonna do it eventually. There's just right now it's not the time. Or two, I was thinking about this the other day because I was like, this would have been a perfect opportunity to like show the characters for like 1 second. But I wonder if, because Netflix fully produces and funds Chilling, that because Riverdale is run by the CW, that like the like legally they can't,
or like they don't want to share a set. They don't want to share a set because maybe the CW owns that set of Pops.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I just feel like there could have been some sort of deal to be like,
we're
just going to have like a 2-minute scene, not even a 1-minute scene in Pops, and that's it. Like, no Riverdale characters, it's just the location. I don't see why they couldn't have done that. It was so weird to me.
Yeah, and especially like now that Katie Keene's coming into this universe, like there's so many crossovers that can happen. Why won't you make them happen?
Yeah.
Like, they should be happening all the time.
And it's
like all these superhero shows. Yeah, and all these superhero shows do it all the time. CW does it all the time with their superhero content. Why can they not do the same for these comic book characters? So anyway, they don't. Yeah, they go into Riverdale, but they're like literally in the woods, like the edge of Riverdale. They use this compass to find the tree, and then they find out that like it's in this maple tree, and they start chopping. Like, Ambrose starts chopping the tree down. Then it cuts to Dorian Gray's, like his bar, and Nick makes fun of his pimple because he still has the pimple. And then Nick just like gets annoyed because Dorian's like, oh, do you want some prostitutes? Like, what's your deal? Why are you feeling so sad? And Nick's like, fuck you. And then he just leaves. He just gets annoyed and he just tips. So then it cuts to back to Riverdale, them breaking down this tree. Like, I'm so sad that they didn't show any Riverdale characters now that I'm talking about it.
I know. But that's the thing. Like, honestly, like, I didn't even want a Riverdale character. Like, I was fine with just the location because I knew that the characters probably were a little out of reach. And we didn't even get that. So to me, it just felt like a huge miss. Huge miss.
Yeah. They could have made like Penelope Blossom like run around in the woods, like in the background or something, but nothing. So they open up the tree, they find this crown, they pull it out, and Ambrose starts to like glitch out, and he's like, no, I need to study this crown, like, don't break it, because Sabrina right away is like, we need to destroy this crown so like it can never be used again. Instead, Ambrose is like, no, I'll study it and then I'll give it to you by the end of the night after the carnival. And I was like, of course this is a bad idea. / I already know this is not how it's going to go down because Caliban gets it at the end because I watched the fucking trailer. Yeah. And anyway, it's a terrible idea regardless. And right after, literally as soon as they walk away from the tree, a gigantic monster king pops
He's
out
like,
of it.
Where's my crown, bitch? Who took my crown?
I was like, calm down, Jay-Z. So then it cuts to Sabrina, and she's looking for Nick.
Ew, this part was so gross.
So gross, but like also like it was a cheat out because I was watching it with my boyfriend and he was like, oh god, they're gonna see it show him cutting his leg off. But he like can't, like physically it's like it won't even
it's like
cut.
Wood. It's like he can't, I mean, no, not wood, it's like metal. Like he can't cut
it's
through
like
it.
steel, yeah. It's not even making a sound. It's like he's like, I can't. It's like silence. So so she finds him in the Church of Night and he's trying to cut off his own foot, but he literally can't. And she's like, don't worry, it's like you have a version of PTSD. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fucking serious shit. She's like, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. And she's like, let's go to the carnival. Yeah, and you'll like feel better. And he's like, I'm literally trying to shave my foot off, but cool, let's go to the carnival.
Let's do that.
Then it cuts to Ambrose, and he's studying the crown at home, and he's like checking it. He's realizing that there's like so much power in it. He's like losing his mind. He's so excited because he's like, oh, this power can like save our coven because like everybody's getting sick.
Yeah, because it's like high energy or whatever.
Right. So then as he's like like studying it, of course, this monster gets all the way into the house.
Yeah.
Down the stairs.
No one sees him.
No.
And I'm glad they mentioned this, because at some point Ambrose was like, ew, it smells like maple.
Like sticky maple.
I'm glad they mentioned that, because even when they took the crown out, I thought they were going to be like, oh, this is where like their maple trees are. But they didn't even say that. Like they didn't even reference the maple trees. So I was like, I'm glad that they at least mentioned that like there was the smell of maple in reference to like the blossoms. Like, thank you
Shout
for that.
Shout out to Riverdale,
like for that little thing.
For that 1 second. And anyway, from that moment, he smells the maple. He realizes the monster's behind him. The monster, of course, doesn't kill him again.
Yeah.
Like, Ambrose never dies, like, in the moments that he should be dead. Like, he just, he gets knocked out, and they find out that Sabrina, or the crown, like whispers it to him, and it's like, Sabrina,
yeah, go get that bitch, and he's like, okay. Like,
so then he puts the crown on, and he's like on his way to the carnival. So cutting to the carnival,
super cute.
Super cute. It's got that like eerie, like American Horror Story freak show vibes.
So okay, I want to ask you this. So in the beginning, before like the whole squad even walks through the front doors, Roz looks at the like kind of like the showrunner of the carnival. Yeah. And she sees him as like, what was he, like
a fawn? He's a fawn.
What does that mean? What is that?
It's like a mythical character. They're like half goat, half human. They used to be tricksters in like mythology. They were like tricksters. They weren't like fully evil, but they were never like fully good. They could always like fuck you over, but they like love nature and shit.
So she sees him for what he truly is. Yeah. And she's like, what? Like, I don't understand what's happening. She's like, I haven't cunned in so long. She's like, I don't even know like what this feels like anymore.
But so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like she kind of gets confused. She's like, no. She's like, I'm on a date right now. She's like, I don't want to do this right now. But but the guy kind of sees her looking at him, like the showrunner guy.
He notices her looking at him for like who he actually is. Yeah. But yeah, I was a little annoyed that Roz didn't like get it together. I was like, girl, come on, you've had the cunning for 2 fucking seasons. How did you forget that? Like, because she's like, oh, like I guess I saw something. I'm like, no, you fucking cunned. Like, you know how it feels when you
know
cun.
what though?
Like,
I do, and I am gonna be really interested in the story if they make her as like someone who pushes her powers away. You know, like she doesn't want to cun anymore. She knows she has this power, but she just wants to be like normal. She just wants to like fuck her boyfriend and like do cheerleading. And like there was a part in Buffy where she does do that. She dips and she runs away and she tries to hide from the powers that she is the Slayer, and she tries to reject it. But in the end, obviously, like through her journey, like she realizes that like she can't reject it, and she needs to embrace her powers. It's her destiny. So, but I think I would be really interested if they did that to Roz, where like she just wants to stop cunning everywhere. But she can't stop. Like she's gonna realize at some point that like they need her to cun to like save the world, you know?
Yeah. I feel like this would have been a weird miss. I'm sure it's just like extending the storyline, but fine. I just like that, and like to your point, if they don't make that the realization for Roz, why did they make her see it in this moment her ignore it, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
Anyways, so Nick shows up with Sabrina, and he's just being like aggressive, kind of like right out the gate. Harvey's like, hey, how's it going? He's like, what's good, bitch? And like Harvey's like, chill, bro. Like it was just a question. So to calm everybody down, they are all like, let's split up and like just hang out and do our own thing. So they all kind of like go in separately. And this, oh god, this is like one of my favorite moments.
I loved it.
I wanted to cry, but I also didn't realize it was actually happening. Like it was real. Yeah. So I was like, what? So anyway, it's Hilda and Dr. Cerberus. They're talking.
Because we haven't seen them together since like last season. So like, I forgot that they were even together.
And like that storyline was actually still happening. Yeah, it was really cute.
Yeah.
So they're walking around and Hilda's just like, yeah, this is really cute. Like whatever, things are good. And he like takes her kind of like to the middle, like where there's like a little stage. And she's like, he's like, I've always wanted to do something like this. And I was like, wait, what's happening? Watching proposals, even fake ones that are on TV, like make me so
And she's so
happy.
cute. So like
She's
just
so
seeing her
cute.
reaction, and she was so cute and giddy, and it was so cute.
Yeah. So he proposes. She says yes. It's a really cute moment. Then it cuts to Harvey, and he's like going around seeing the games, and he finds that game where you like hit it and it hits a bell. And the like lead, the carnival person, he's like, hey, why don't you want to hit? Do you want to hit this? And he uses his biggest strength, and he can't like hit it.
Yeah.
And then Billy goes in. He's watching from the corner. Billy goes in and he hits it, and he's able to hit it. And obviously, like Harvey, like
he gets cheesed. He's like, oh, I can't even fucking hit that thing. My girl's not even gonna like me anymore. So he just like dips. I'm like, yo, you just left your girl there alone. Like he just walks away. He doesn't even say anything to Roz to be like, I'm upset or something. He just like dips.
He's just like, bye. And she's
it's such a weird steer for Harvey to be acting like this, because like he's so not that guy, but for some reason he's like sketching out over this whole like sex thing, and he's like freaking out on her.
Yeah. I don't know. I do feel like it was always in him, like this. I mean, he's a teenager. He's always going to be unsure and feel threatened. He's like the small town boy. This kid's like a jock or whatever.
Yeah.
But like he should be more secure in his girl at this point.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then it cuts to Miss Wardwell, like the real Miss Wardwell, and she goes to see a psychic. The psychic ends up telling her a couple things. Number one, Adam is dead. Like she's like,
yeah.
By the way, Adam is no longer of this world. And she's like, what? Like fucking Miss Wardwell just like finding out all this information. And then she says something really interesting, which makes me feel like Wardwell is going to have a big part in this story. The real Wardwell. She's like, you guys never consummated your relationship, which means they never fucked. And Miss Wardwell, like with her reaction, like confirms that like, no, they didn't have sex. So that happens.
But then why was that important for her to like know that?
We'll bring it back at the end of the episode because it is mentioned. But anyway, then it cuts to the Ferris wheel, and Robin and Theo are on a little thing, and Robin and Theo are about to kiss, but before they kiss, Theo has a moment where he says, I wasn't really born Theo. I need to tell you like this whole thing.
Yeah.
How did you feel they handled this situation?
I think it was well done. I think it's a big question. Do you do this scene or do you just go with it?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really liked it. I think the actress played it really well. Yeah. And yeah, what did you think?
I loved it. I liked it as well. I think for one, I think it's like history making to a degree, like having like someone who plays a trans character have this first kiss and have this moment. Maybe not like groundbreaking, but like it's definitely big for this genre. And I was really excited to see it on screen. And I liked it. I like the fact that they like brought this forward. They're giving Theo a bit of a like romance storyline, but obviously by the end of the episode, when you find out that Robin's like a creep, then like,
and that's the only thing that I didn't want to happen. And I knew he was gonna be a creep because he just looks like a creep. But
you're like,
but I didn't want Theo to go through all of this and open up and share this huge thing, and then that guy be a fucking weirdo. It just sucks for him. But whatever.
Fair enough. Yeah. But it was a cute moment in this moment.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Harvey, and he's walking around the tents, and he sees this, he like finds this like exotic dancer tent. He pokes his head in, and he sees like a snake charmer with like a gigantic snake doing like a Britney Spears "I'm a Slave for You" moment.
Yeah.
And he sees his dad like in the
like so horny, on the side, like watching this woman.
He's like, oh yeah. And then before he's able to kind of like go in even further, because he's like now getting kind of hypnotized by the girl too, Roz calls out to him, and he like pops his head out, and he's like, oh yeah, there's nothing in there, like don't go in there, and like don't look at my boner, like it's fine, don't worry about it. So they leave. Then it cuts to Nick and Sabrina, and they're getting off the merry-go-round. But as they're getting off the merry-go-round, the monster's like stalking them. And she does like take this moment like right before like they kind of continue their night because he's a little off. She's like, I don't know, we never really talked about it, but like, how did it feel being with like my dad for as long? Like what was it like? And he's like, I don't want to talk about this right now. Can we just like hang out? I want to go into the tunnel of love with my girlfriend and just like hang out. And she's like, okay, cool. So they go in. Sure enough, like 5 seconds later, there's like screaming and shouting, and the place is like exploding. And they run out, and then they're fighting this king monster demon man.
Yeah.
So they're fighting between Nick and Sabrina. They can't really stop him. They knock the crown off his head, and it kind of rolls to the corner. Caliban appears and grabs it off the floor. Sabrina asks for his help, and he's like,
what a weak ass move. He just like appears, like teleports, picks up the crown, and like dips. Like, what the hell? Like,
it's very like villain though. Like,
it's so
I did
convenient.
live for it.
It's so convenient.
Yeah. It was annoying to watch because like, number one, like I said, I know that he wins it, but also too like how he won it was like pretty cheap. Like he did it like, but he does it like any demon or devil would. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure. I just like,
I'm surprised he didn't fucking kill her and be like, yo, you're dead.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
He could have been more ruthless. So in that moment before, I think Nick is about to get killed. Ambrose from behind blows him up. He uses some like power, and like he blows him the fuck up. And
there's like blood and guts like everywhere, and like
blood and guts
everywhere.
Like, yeah. So then they like dip, and Sabrina's like, well, that was a great night. Like, do you want to come over? Like, we can shower and then we can just like hang out. And he's like, no, I'm gonna go to
the
school and like sleep in my own bed.
I was like, he lying, girl.
Oh, he be lying for real. But even before that, I was like, so she just lost the crown, like the first fucking challenge, and she's not like, okay, Nick, I know that like we like didn't have a good final night, but like I gotta go to hell.
But that's
I gotta
the thing.
Deal with
she doesn't really care about that whole mission. She just wants to be with him. So it's just a big distraction for her.
Right. That's true. So anyways, he calls her Spellman. He's like, I'll see you later, Spellman. And then I don't know what her face was doing. Like, I don't know if it was a Kieran and Shipka thing.
Yeah.
Like, was she happy or was she sad? How did you think that we're supposed to feel?
I think there was a reason why he called her Spellman.
Does that mean that he's like pulling away?
Maybe,
like,
probably. Well, I mean, like, it's obviously that he is doing that because the next scene he's like fucking having an orgy. So, I do think he's probably gonna try to pull away, just because he doesn't know how to deal with himself right now with her. You know, he's going through all this shit. So, I definitely think like they're gonna go through like hard times before like they end up like good again. You know,
if they get good, like
if they get good, sure. Yeah.
So anyway, so that ends. Then it cuts to Dorian's, and Nick is at Dorian's, and he's like, hey, Dorian, get me those like strippers that you promised me before. And then it just shows Nick kind of have this like self-deprecating moment where he's like sitting in a dark room and all these like hookers.
Like he didn't even shower. He's still like covered in blood and maple syrup.
Yeah, and he's just like,
but it was interesting because when Dorcas and Porcus were making fun of him earlier, they mentioned, they're like, I bet you he can only like get it up now when he's like in pain, and like I bet like he only like gets aroused when like he's in pain. And then Sabrina's like, what? Like, what does that even mean? And Nick's like, nah. And then at the end when he's like having the orgy, like the girl's like, what do you want? And he's like, I just want pain. So like, even like sexually, like they're totally not in sync anymore. Not that they ever were, but like for sure like, they're not going to be now.
According to NB, they were never in sync. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Like that was a huge thing too, because like he's so disconnected from her now, like in that way, you know.
So that's that scene. Then it cuts to Wardwell at home, and she finds her ring. Like she finds like, I guess, an engagement ring or a wedding ring, and she looks very like confused. But my question to you is like,
I don't know.
Do we care about this?
I don't know if we care about this, because like at the end of the day, even if the teacher Wardwell finds out about like the real Wardwell, what the fuck is she gonna do? Like, Wardwell's a witch. She can just like kill you in a second. Like, so what realization is this gonna give the teacher. I don't know what this is all leading towards.
I am interested to see, because I do feel like because they have the opportunity to use Michelle Gomez as Miss Wardwell and Madam Satan, it's almost as if they want to use that opportunity to have this like great actress and build out both of their characters. But I'm like, it's not necessary like to have that Wardwell storyline, but it seems like they really are trying to like give her more. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what they're trying to do, but we'll see. Then it cuts to hell. And Sabrina tromps right in, and Caliban's like gloating. Obviously, he's got the crown on. He's like, "What does that look like, girl? How does it look on my head?" And Sabrina's
like, all those fucking like people are like, "Oh, he won, he won," and she's like, "Bitch, and you cheated."
She slaps him, and she's like, "How dare you leave us? We could have died." He's like, "Well, that's not my problem." Anyway, she like slaps him a couple times. She's just like cheesed, and she says something that's like really like intense. She's like, "Fuck you, this one goes to you, but like there's no way in hell you're gonna take my shit. I'll kill you before I like that happens." And then they're all like, "Damn, you got burned, bitch." And then they all start chanting Sabrina because they're all like lit for her now. And then it's weird because it kind of zooms into like everybody's face. Like Sabrina's like, "Yeah, bitch," and what? And then it cuts to like Caliban. He's like, "Ooh, okay." And then it cuts to Wardwell, or I guess Madam Satan's face, and she's like, "Bitch, what the fuck is happening?" So
also really quick, there was a scene that I don't know if we discussed, but like there is a point where Nick does see Caliban, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that is the moment where like Nick gets really like jealous. He's like, "Who the F is this guy? Like now my girl's like seeing this guy like shirtless all the time. Like, is she gonna fall in love with him?" So that also is like a big thing. Like, do you see at any point Caliban and Sabrina having a thing?
Well, it's interesting because I didn't think of it until Nick says it. He says it to Dorian. He's like, yeah, my girl like has a new suitor and she doesn't even realize it yet. And I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess Caliban in the last
that way, but like, yeah,
I didn't see it that way either, but it makes sense. Like in the last ditch effort, like Caliban's probably gonna be like, "Hey girl, like instead of fighting, like maybe we should just get together." Yeah. So I see that happening, but I don't know if I'm down for that, but whatever. I'm sure it'll happen. They wouldn't have cast like a hot young guy if it wasn't gonna kind of at least play with that idea. But yeah. Then it cuts to the carnival grounds. These like something happens. Obviously, there's something going on with this carnival, and it's the main leader guy, and then there's like the psychic lady, and then Robin's there, and all these people kind of like around town and that were at this carnival. They're all coming together, like telling all the secrets of the town, being like, this person is this person, and there's someone that can see us, like they know who Roz is. And they mention Wardwell, like the psychic is like, oh yeah, and there's like a woman who's like a virgin, or like she's like a spinster. And so they're calling out certain people, which makes me like I said, like Wardwell's obviously going to be a part of the like major storyline with this plot line, at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a bummer that fucking Robin's evil, or like whatever, which kind of sucks because it looks like he's also like pointing out Theo to be like somebody that is going to get like hurt or sacrificed or something.
For sure.
The one thing that I will say, and please, anybody who's listening to this podcast who gets this reference, I'm just going to say this right now, that I really appreciate you. And thank you so much for getting my reference, because I know for a fact MB's not going to get this reference.
No.
But this is giving me Sailor Moon Season 2, Alan and Anne, the aliens realness. If anybody gets that reference, please shout out to me and I will be so happy. But yeah, that's all I can really say, because it's literally the same kind of vibe. It's like aliens playing as fake humans. There's a plant involved that they try to bury in the ground at the end of the episode, and they start to like chant at it to like get it to grow, and they keep saying, "Let the green one be reborn." So they're trying to like grow some plant. Anyway, it is definitely very Sailor Moon for me,
and I definitely think it links back to what Blackwood was saying,
right?
How like all the old ones are like coming back up. So what the fuck's happening?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see like why they're there. If it does follow the Sailor Moon storyline, it's all just a misunderstanding.
Oh, okay.
But it probably isn't the case. But like I said, the fawn being like the ringleader, like I said, in mythology, they were never like innately evil unless they were like an evil god. Like there's Dionysus he's a fawn, like, and he's like the god of like fertility and wine. So like he was like fun. He wasn't like evil.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not sure like where they're going with this storyline, but it'll be interesting to see like how it all wraps up. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. Let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups. Best moment.
My best moment I think has to go to the Riverdale crossover because I got so excited. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And then nothing happened. They didn't even go to Pops. They didn't have any like nothing. But I think
no references.
It was definitely the point where I was like the most excited. I was like, oh my god, like the potential is like there, and then like nothing happened.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe they'll actually do something eventually?
I mean, I feel like they have to. I feel like they should. But this was also like the perfect moment to do that. Like, because it was so subtle. It was subtle enough where like it didn't have to be forced. And like it didn't require like all the whole Riverdale cast coming there or whatever. So I just don't understand why they didn't do it in this moment, you know?
My best moment is gonna go to the proposal because I was like living for it. It was so cute. I was so happy for Hilda, and also now I'm looking forward to a wedding. Like they're obviously gonna shoot that, so like I'm excited.
WTF moment.
WTF moment definitely is gonna go to Nick cheating on Sabrina at the end. I was like, boy, what? Like you couldn't even like keep it real for like 48 minutes.
No.
The hell.
She's
gonna be heartbroken
right now, bro. He's just going through some shit, bro. My WTF moment is gonna go to like a very quick moment that happens at the school where like literally it cuts to Gerald like on the floor like dead.
Yeah,
like,
it was
just,
fucked up.
Just like mopping up his blood.
Yeah.
I was like, they just killed off a student without even showing what happened. Like everybody's out here getting the coronavirus. It's not a joke.
Yeah, that was pretty like shocking.
MVP.
My MVP is gonna go to Wardwell, the witch Wardwell, just because I think she's so on point. She's like watching Sabrina. She's like basically her secretary assistant.
Yeah.
And I think Sabrina would be so effing lost without her. She'd probably be dead without her, to be honest. And in this episode especially, she like keeps her in check. So she's my MVP. And I will also give an honorable mention to Cerberus for popping the question to Hilda.
Yeah, honorable mention.
So cute.
I'm gonna give my MVP to. I'm gonna give it to Harvey. I feel like he was a stand-up guy this episode.
Yeah.
I will say that.
What
like,
about Theo?
I would love. I'll actually. You know what? Theo's a better one because I feel like he took way more charge. In this relationship, he's not sure what the fuck is going on in the back end, so you can't really blame him for what's about to happen to him. But I do love the fact that they gave him this moment, the kiss. His character is becoming more comfortable and bold, and I just love seeing his growth through the season so far. Like it hasn't been like nauseating, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh god, can we just get over this thing? It's like it's cute and it's innocent and it's high school and they're really normalizing this relationship.
Sure.
And even though it's gonna be fucked up because he's evil, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
For sure. I think just kind of talking on what you're mentioning too, it's interesting that a lot of the show revolves around these women and like how they are navigating this world of this patriarchal system. But I think watching this episode, you see how the males and the guys are questioning like what it is to be a man, or like what is the definition of a man. I was kind of picking up on those things along the way, like you know, like Harvey seeing his dad like watching this stripper girl, like he's trying to figure out who he is as a man, you know. And I think it's so important for a show like this, when they're showing the female perspective too, to also show like the guy side of it, you know, and like the things that they go through and like the things that they question, and like who are they in society, like what does it mean to be a guy, you know? Like are you totally like the jock type, like the loser, like, you know, ignorant piece of shit, or are you gonna be someone who's more like caring and more like emotional, like a Harvey, you know? So,
and all the shit that's happening with like Nick too, like the fact that he's trying to find himself again, and also like to your point, the whole idea of like, are you a jock, are you a weirdo, and what if you're neither? Then you have a Theo, and they're still pursuing that storyline as well. So yeah, they're really covering all of their bases. So that's a really, really good point.
LVP
is gonna go to Nikki Boy, just because I think he was just so insecure, and it's all valid. Like, he's definitely going through something right now, but I think just seeing him in such a like different vibe, because he's always been so cocky and so like sure of himself, it's just different to see him be like kind of weak right now, and that's totally fine.
Yeah,
it's just he cheated on my girl, so you an LVP now, you know?
My LVP is gonna be I think I'm gonna give it to Ambrose, because for one, he was the dum that thought it was a good idea to study the stupid crown.
Yeah.
And then secondly, he loses it. And then thirdly, like, he tries to make up for it by blowing him up, but not before this fucking crown is already stolen. Like, bro, get your shit together. You were cool for like 2 episodes. Can you
He's
still
only
stay
cool with Prudence.
He literally is only cool with Prudence. So like,
I liked how in the end he was like, okay guys, you guys can go, I'll just clean up this mess. Because like, it's like his fault basically. So he's like, I'll just stay back and clean up his guts.
The best line.
Best line is gonna go to Sabrina at the end, and she says, I'll slice your throat ear to ear before I let you have my throne. And I just loved it because it was so effing aggressive and so vicious. Like, to hear her say like, I'll slice your throat ear to ear, like, yo, this girl's becoming like crazy
angry,
you know? Like, it's, and on top of that, she like punched him in the face like twice. So I just think like we're seeing like a next level version of Sabrina with each episode, and I'm curious to see like how far she's gonna go this season.
My best line, it's a really short one, but it's gonna go to our girl Zelda in the morning when she's like, it must have been a good reunion last night. I just love her, like, the way that she drags out every sentence. It's just, I love the delivery that Zelda gives us for pretty much everything that she says. But that scene was pretty cute and funny. That is the end of the episode. Before we finish up, we have our contest going on right now for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and pop socket. To enter, just rate, comment on our iTunes page and you'll be entered in the draw. We're extending this contest to the end of Riverdale season 4, so stay tuned, but you still have so much time to enter, so make sure you guys do that. I'd like to take this time to thank our patrons of the episode, our Rewinder squad, White, Nicole, Faith, Lit Rewinders, Tina Ann, Sarge, Serena, Slay, Kate, and Jessica, and our Mommy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Grace.
Thanks, guys. And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind exclusive content, and updates.
And also make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes. Like, subscribe, follow, review, and comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks for listening.
Bye.